2.3 G20. So G20 is also called Group of 20 countries, and it is an intergovernmental forum comprising of 19 countries and European Union. So it works to address the major issues related to global economy such as international financial stability, climate change mitigation, and sustainable development. So recently, India joined G20 Troika. See here, Troika means top group within G20, which consists of present, past, and next presidencies. Okay, so our India joined G20 Troika and is set to take over the presidency in 2022. So the present Troika is Indonesia, Italy, and India. So Indonesia is a present president of G20, and Italy was the previous president, and India will be the next president of G20. So the group consists of present, past, and the next presidencies within the G20 is called Troika. Is that clear, guys? So, India, being a Troika member, will closely work with Indonesia and Italy to ensure consistency and efficiency. So, G20 was created for two reasons. One is due to a rising financial crisis in emerging economies in 1990s, and the other reason is due to inadequate recognition of some countries in global economic discussion and governance. So, due to this main reasons, G20 was created. So in December 1999, the finance ministers and central bank governors of advanced and emerging countries met for the first time in Berlin. Berlin is in Germany. Okay, and they informally discussed the key issues of the global economic stability. And from then onwards, the finance ministers and the central bank governors met annually. Okay, every year from then onwards, that is from 1999, every year the finance ministers and the central bank governors met every year. And then in 2008, G20 was raised to summit level. Okay, summit is the official one. Summit to address the global financial and economic crisis. So now I will tell you how to remember G20 countries here. So first we will learn about G7. Okay, the trick to remember is from Gujarat ICU. Okay, from F for France, and Gujarat you have to write GUJ in capital letters. Okay, G for Germany, U for USA, and J for Japan. Okay, from Gujarat, F GUJ. Okay, F for from, GUJ for Gujarat, I means Italy, C means Canada, and U means UK. Okay, from Gujarat, GUJ, ICU. The trick for G7 is from Gujarat, ICU. Okay, if you add Russia, then it will become G8. Okay, group of 8 countries. And next is the remaining 12 countries. So anything you can remember for the remaining 12 countries. So one of the trick is Cabistem's IAS. Okay, CABISTEMS IAS. Okay, C means China, A means Argentina, B means Brazil, I means Indonesia, S means South Africa, T means Turkey, E means European Union, M is Mexico, S is South Korea, IAS means India, Australia, and Saudi Arabia. So for G7 it is from Gujarat ICU. If you add Russia for G7, then it will become G8, and if you will add remaining the 12 countries, that is Cabistem's IAS. Okay, so these are the tricks to remember this G20 countries. So these countries hold strategic role in securing the future global economic growth and prosperity. So its objectives and aim are done by Sherpas. Okay, Sherpas here means the personal representatives of G20 leaders and the central bank governors. Okay, so its objectives and the aim are fulfilled by the Sherpas. So the Sherpas work in coordination to fulfill the objectives of G20. Now, what are the objectives of G20? These are generally three. There are generally three main objectives of G20. One is to achieve economic stability. See, if all the financial ministers meet every year, then it is for economic stability only, right? So, one of the main objective is to achieve economic stability and sustainable growth by policy coordination. The second is to promote financial regulations in order to reduce the risk and prevent future financial crises. And the third objective is to create new international financial architecture. So all these objectives are related to the finance. Okay. So now coming to the significance, that is the importance of G20. So G20 is very important for global economic growth. Now, how this group of 20 countries change the economic conditions globally? It is because 90% of global GDP is within these G20 countries. Not only that, 80% of international global trade, 2 by 3rd world population lives in G20 countries, and 84% of fossil fuel emission are from these G20 countries. So, to strategically develop the world or to financially make the countries develop, G20 plays a major role. Now, these G20 countries addresses a global crisis. Some of such examples are it has addressed 2008 financial crisis. We also learned that uh, G20 moved to the summit level in the 2008 to address this financial crisis only. Okay, so it has addressed 2008 financial crisis. It has addressed Iranian nuclear program, and it has addressed COVID-19 pandemic and the climate change. So these also help in regularizing the tax reforms so that it can help low income developing countries by bringing transparency through exchange of information. Okay, so through Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, that is OECD, and base erosion and project sharing, that is BEPS, here it addresses tax avoidance by large corporations. Okay, so recently in 2021 also G20 Rome Summit around with around 140 countries agreed to improve the system of international corporate taxation. And both G20 and organizations for economic cooperation and development, that is G20 and OECD, led to an agreement of 15% of global minimum tax. Is that clear, guys? So, global minimum tax rate. So, both multinational companies as well as developing countries can make profits. So, now this G20 also aims to provide opportunities to develop bilateral ties between different countries. This act also resulted in more international agreements. And the other one is G20 also gives human resource development and employment. Okay, so for example, even in 2014, G20 aimed to reduce the gender gap in workforce participation by 25% till 2025. And the other example is in 2015 it aimed to reduce the share of young population who are most at the risk of being left permanently behind the labor markets by 15% by 2021. Okay, it has aimed to reduce the young people who are being left permanently behind labor markets. So the next is the issues regarding the G20. So there is a lack of effective power. Okay, some state that G20 is not a legal institute. It lacks the effective power. So the other issue is there is no efficient transparency and accountability among these countries, and there is lack of protectionism. Some protesters accuse G20 that is strengthening large corporations rather than developing the low income countries. So, for their own benefit, they are, agreeing the trade agreements. So, for that reason, and the other is some argue that G20 has failed to address social inequalities and the global threats to democracy. So, all these are some of the major issues of with the G20. Now, coming to the conclusion, G20 have to work together to resolve all the global issues. It should not show partiality towards only the developed countries. It should also increase the low income countries as well. It must bind all the countries, especially the emerging countries like Indonesia, India, Brazil, Mexico, to tackle the major global issues and to promote global public goods.